Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the Jazz Standard here in New York City. Tonight, blessing the band stage in her debut at the Jazz Standard for 3 unprecedented sold-out nights is Grammy-nominated vocalist Jazzmeia Horn. Now, I can honestly say about 10 years ago when I moved to this city, I saw Jazzmeia as she was a struggling student at the New School here in Manhattan. But she paid her dues. In fact, Jazzmeia not only paid her dues, she won some very prestigious music competitions. One, she took first place at the Sarah Vaughan International Jazz Vocal Competition, as well as the Thelonious Monk Institute Jazz Competition as well. Tonight, you're going to see her perform music from her Grammy-nominated record, A Social Call, which is on Prestige Records. Tonight, I had a chance to sit down and break bread to talk about all the success of this new record, as well as talk about her upbringing in Dallas. As you know, Jazzmeia comes from the church, as well as she graduated from the prestigious Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing Arts, which produced such great musicians like Erykah Badu as well as Roy Hargrove, just to name the endless few. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the debut of Miss Jazzmeia Horn, live here at the Jazz Standard on the Pace Report, reporting from the Jazz Standard here in New York City.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm blue. My disposition depends on you. I never mind rain from the sky, just as long as I can find the light in your eyes. Sometimes I love you, sometimes I hate you, but when I hate you, it's only because I love you. That's how I am. What can I do? I'm so happy, baby, when I'm with you.
proud of you. I remember you when you were that little student at the new school up the street. And now, last month, you performing at the Grammys, you're a nominated artist, you've won all of these competitions, and you're still the same person that I met almost 8, 9 years ago.
I'm me. I know where I'm going and where I came from. Why would I change?
You know, this has been a really crazy year for you because your debut record has gotten all of this attention. And the thing that you've done on the social call is that you brought the past, the present, and the future, and you brought it forward.
Yes, that's the goal in life, you know. It's just to make sure that everybody's covered. Everybody gets a little piece. Everybody gets inspired. Everybody lets their light shine or gets to see the light at least, you know.
Going into recording this album, the songs, because we go into Rolls Royce, I'm going down, we do moaning, lift every voice, and I mean, there's a myriad of different types of black experience on this record.
That's who we are, who I am, you know. I love that song, I'm Every Woman, because that's serious, you know. I know the sisters, the single mamas who going through drama, you know. I know the church sisters that's going through whatever. I know the school sister that's going, you know. It's the essence of our people that brings all of that love and all of that grease, all of that spirit out of us and into the music. We're really one. It's essential for the future. I think that playing music is a way to express that. When you're going through something, all that stuff in church or all of that stuff in school, you become a part of your environment. And as you need to express, the music is there for you to be able to express, not only as a platform, but as healing.
Explain the concept of a social call.
A social call, the reason that I put it together is because I keep saying this, but it's just stuck in my head. My grandmother said to me, you are responsible for all the generations. You are your generation, but you are responsible for the generation before you and the generation after you. So I took that to mean my daughter, but also my mother. And so a social call does that, bridges that gap, brings all of us together. My daughters really love Tight and East of the Sun. And my mother really loves I'm Going Down. She really loves People Make the World Go Round. And my grandmother really loves Wade in the Water, the medley that we put together. I mean, it's like the pot of gumbo. You just add this ingredient, throw that in there, you know, and it brings it all together. That's what I want to do in life in general. That's what I want people to get from my music, and not just black people, because obviously it's for black people because I am black, but I want everybody to hear it and say, let's stop this foolishness, let's come together, because it's better for us to come together than to be divided and conquered, especially when we all are the same. If my neck was throat was slit and a white man sitting next to me's neck was slit, we would bleed the same blood. Only difference is melanin and DNA. We all on this planet are the same. So that's what a social call is for. Literally a social call. And not to just be at a jazz club being cute and having a drink. No, let's talk about these issues that we need to get to. Let's address them and bring them up in our music and try to do something about it. And do something about it. Because we can. It's not like we don't have the ability to. And I feel like right now, the religion is dividing us and separating us. It's making us lazy. I really just think faith is beautiful, but what is faith without work? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, oh, wait on the Lord, wait on God. Well, why are we here? God sent us here. What are we waiting on God to do for us? We have everything we need. God has given us everything that we need. My name is Jazzmeia Horn. I am a living testimony for that. I'm Jazzmeia Horn, a jazz vocalist dwelling in New York City, the mecca of jazz, and I'm a musician. If Divine Purpose has a name, it's Jazzmeia Horn. Like, not to be cocky or anything, but just confident in my walk and in my journey. You know, I understand that I'm a vessel and why, and I have so much love and so much that I want to have. I can't save the world, but I'm gonna try. You know, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do everything that I can to bring us together via music, because that's what I know how to do. I can't be a painter, or I can, but that's not what I'm not here for that. I'm here for this music that we call jazz, and that's what I'm gonna do. And that's what a social call is.
Her hair so dark and brown, her lips so full and round. The robe she wore hung almost to the ground. And if she'll close the blinds, one thing I'll never find is what she looks like on the outside. Legs and arms are all I look at every day, feet and hands. Oh, how I wish I were the man of her dreams. Although it seems she's not interested in love. If only I could just lie next to her, I'd be the gayest man alive, holding her. But once the moonlight hits the sky, she goes away. Her favorite place, where I can't see what's underneath. If she didn't hide all of her goods inside, I know of a never-ending love song as her beauty lights ahead. But since she keeps holding her beauty underneath, I'll try to hold my feelings as these tears fall from my eyes. I don't even feel alive, so I'll hide behind the rainbow in the sky.
Jazzmeia, you are very young and you just got this old soul. It's amazing the things that you're talking about. You know, the last 10 years we've gone through President Obama, we've gone through recently Black Panther and Black Lightning and Ta-Nehisi Coates, and we've seen black people of color excel in the arts. How do you feel right now, right this moment where you are as a jazz vocalist, bringing your experience to other cultures and nationalities?
So far, I've had the opportunity to go to most of the countries in Europe. I'm saying Europe because that's where I've traveled. So when I've gone to Europe, the Russians are very standoffish. but very appreciative of the music. The Greeks are very, Europe in general has a very standard way of treating jazz music. It's very entertaining for them, and it's something that they don't necessarily understand because it was born here, it was bred here in America. And so it's treated like, oh, this is beautiful, like maybe classical music. They don't sing, they don't holler or cry or moan or nothing. It's just I'm just gonna sit there and take all of this energy in. And I try not to force anything on anybody, but whenever I'm performing, I'm not gonna stop being me because someone else has a different way of understanding. So when I go to Europe, people are just mesmerized as I've gone to Europe. I've also been to Paraguay, Panama, so South America, Colombia. The people over there are very different. They dance, they sing back, they're joyous, it's just a completely different thing, and it's love. It's all of that energy, I get to take it back. Everything that I'm giving out, I get to receive it right back. I'm not just giving somebody something who's just like sucking it all in. It's like they appreciate the culture, not only the entertainment, but the culture as well. And then here in America, there are many different cultures here in America, especially in New York. And it's very interesting. I was, especially at the Jazz Standard tonight, I was expecting to see more people of color, more African people. There was a small section of African people, especially my peers, people who are the same age as me. And it's a bit difficult. I think that culture is imperative for our youth to know and understand it. So with my teaching, I'm always teaching and going back to roots and teaching children and the youth, all right, this is where you got to start, It would be great to start here, Some cat asked me tonight, I think it was like 14 years old, how do you keep your range and your register and your poise, and how did you grow? And I said, don't listen to any pop music that came out over the past 10 years. Because everybody's using auto-tune, and nobody's really singing. They're just like, ying, 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 ying. And if they get off tune, it's just gonna be, the pitch is gonna be fixed. Go listen to Etta Jones and Aretha Franklin and Donny Hathaway.
That's my man.
Mine too. And,
giving up. So very hard to do.
Hello.
And I interviewed Musique, and we talked about Donny Hathaway. What you're talking about is our music was real.
It is real.
Donny, Smokey, Diana, Marvin, those cats wrote and sang things that they had experienced. And that's what you're doing. When you got up there and did Lift Every Voice and Sing, one thing I was really upset, black folk didn't stand up.
Yeah.
I was raised as a child. And growing up in the church, when you hear that song, you stand. There's a miscommunication of the heritage to our next generation, and even to the European culture, that they have to start understanding.
I think what we do is try to make other people comfortable as Africans sometimes. I think that it's easier to make someone else feel comfortable versus being your entire self. For example, when I was younger, I used to be talking like this because I thought that people would really respect me better if I spoke like that, and not being myself, who I really am. And I think that's what happened tonight. There were black people here, and when Lift Every Voice came on, they were like, oh, I'm in the Jazz Standard, so I'm not sure if I could be yourself. Be yourself, but we all are not on the same level. It's always about pleasing somebody else, and that's kind of abuse, because you have a right to stand up for what you believe in, no matter what is going on, no matter where you are. You can't change the color of your skin just because you at the Jazz Standard. Stand up. You know what I'm saying? But that's where we are right now as a people. A lot of people have not read a book in about 10 years, but let me tell you, you think they went to see the Black Panther?
Oh, cool.
Oh, sure enough they did.
It's funny you say that, because there's a show called Black Lightning which was the first black superhero that DC Comics put out. And the arch villain Tobias, who is an albino in the character on the show, he says something that was very, very deep. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but they don't want to die. That's heavy. What I see you doing is you're dying for your art. And that's a rare cause. Stevie Wonder did it. Donny Hathaway did it. Duke Ellington did it. I can name endless artists and composers that died for their art. And it seems like now no one is taking a stand to sweat for their music anymore.
Christians would call it Christ-like, you know, dying for your art. And in a way it is. If you think about the story of Heru, which is really Christ, if you think about the story of Heru, that's exactly what happened. So I don't mind. I want to be here on this earth, but I'm nothing without my music. Nothing. When I wake up in the morning, when I'm asleep and I'm hearing music, you know, like one of my children was almost born on stage because I wanted to be singing while I was pregnant. And all of that music, she's like pitch perfect, you know? Forget about ABCs. My 3-year-old was singing Mississippi Goddamn and meaning every word of it. You know what I mean? I can't do anything else. I don't see myself giving it up or trying to. This is who I am, and I'm both comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time, and that's comfortable.
I didn't know what time it was. Then I met you. Oh, what a lovely time it was. How sublime it was tonight. I didn't know what day it was. You held in my hand warm, like the month of May it was, and I think it was great. Great to be alive, great to be young, great to be back in your love. Great to see your face, hear your touch, hear your voice, say about yours. I didn't know what years. Life was no prize. I wanted love and they was shining out of your eyes, oh wise. And I know what time it is now. I didn't know what time it was. Then I met you, baby. Oh, oh. What a lovely time it was. How sublime it was. I didn't know what day it was. You held my hand
let's talk about Dallas. You graduated from a very important high school, the Booker T. Washington Performing Arts School, and one of my other female heroes graduated from that school, Miss Erykah Badu, Roy Hargrove. Tell me about your upbringing as far as the church and how you translated the church into going into performance arts.
So I started singing in church when I was 3. My daddy, mama, grandmother, other grandmother, grandfather. My grandfather's the pastor of the church. My mom sang in the choir. My grandmother played organs and piano. My dad played drums and sang. My grandfather played guitar also. My aunts still do play piano and sing in the same church. I didn't have a choice. Because honestly, I didn't know that people couldn't sing. Like I didn't know that there were people in the world that existed that couldn't sing, because everybody in my family could sing. So I just thought it was normal, like talking. Okay, when you grow up, you just learn to sing. Just like, I mean, everybody sings. So for me, it was like, all right, Jazz, you got to be in the choir. You got to be on the usher board. You got to do something in this church. And I grew up with it. So it's my first language, actually, because before I could actually pronounce my words, I could sing, you know? So that was always there. And then the church, just like, that's where I found God. Because that's where God lives for me, in that music. It's like indescribable. And it's something that has always stuck with me, the spirit, a strong spirit. So growing up in church, eventually they knew I was going to start singing R&B and pop and everything else. My grandfather always said, don't forget where you came from. My grandmother always said, don't forget to give God thanks. You know, don't ever forget. Even if you get something, if you get, you good. If you don't get, you still good. You know, no matter what happens, you still good. Give God praise. And so I honor and respect her for that. But also, that's what I do when I sing. It's a form of worship. Giving myself to the audience and dying for my music. It's my way of giving. That's the way that I worship. So when I went to Arts Magnet, when I went to Booker T. Washington, all of the cats that Erykah Badu, Nora Jones, Roy Hargrove, all of those people inspired me because they went there. But I wasn't out on the scene because of church. My parents wouldn't let me go out because I have 2 young brothers that I had to also look after, but also because we were always in church. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So when I went somewhere, it was because I was having a concert for school. It wasn't necessarily... And the thing about Dallas is the jazz scene is not as big as it was back in the day. You know, you had Roger Boykin, you had a whole bunch of people out on the scene doing their thing, and now it's probably 3 at the most, maybe 4 jazz places to actually play in Dallas. Everything else is folk music, bluegrass, blues, you know, everything but jazz, gospel. So I had to leave. I had to come to New York and try to find a different way, and that's what happened.
Was it a culture shock for you when you decided a leap of faith to come to New York to study at the new school?
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't take it when I first got here. I couldn't take, every time I said hi to somebody, they was like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? You get on a DART train in the morning in Dallas, you going to work, you going to school. Good morning, how you doing? Everybody say good morning. You know, you walk on by yourself, how y'all doing? Everybody's like, hey, you sit down. I get on the train or the bus here, people like, what you want? I ain't got no money. I'm just saying hi, you know. That freaked me out because I'm like, oh man. But then after a while, I'm like, I've never seen these people. Every day I'm like, oh, I don't see the same person. Oh, I don't see tomorrow. Oh, I don't see. People come from Europe, from Africa, from everywhere to come here to New York. So you're not going to see, that's a lot of hellos. You're going to be saying hello for the rest of your life if you say hello to everybody. You know, that was the culture shock to me. It was a shock that I could go to, what's the neighborhood? Bay Ridge in Brooklyn, and then go down, take the N train to a different place, and be in another part of Brooklyn, and see a whole bunch of black people, and then keep taking the train and see a whole bunch of Hasidic Jews, and then I didn't get it. You know, it's not that way in Dallas. It's like white, black, you know, and so here it's like it's very mixed cultured, and that it was confusing, but I loved it. You know, I was like, oh, I get to learn about a whole bunch of stuff. But what really messed me up was that those other cultures wasn't trying to learn about me and my culture. Those Hasidic Jews ain't trying to learn about black people in the public eye. I mean, they might be studying us behind closed doors for all we know, which is true. But, you know, it was not that way. You don't have, you have a few soul food restaurants. You have white restaurants that make soul food, but it ain't soul food really. It's some watered down food that they didn't learn from some black chef. You know what I'm saying? Culture, food. You got a few Ethiopian restaurants. You got African restaurants all over Harlem, which is now being gentrified.
I live in Harlem, I know.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so it was beautiful to see different Jamaican restaurants and Ethiopian restaurants and try this food and try that in Trinidad, and I experienced that in Dallas. So that's a beautiful thing about traveling. It taught me so much. Like, okay, you need to go here to experience what it is like to be with somebody else. That's why I think this passport business is foolishness, because everybody should be allowed to learn about different people so we can get along with each other. You know what I mean? Imagine if everybody in the world could go where they wanted to go. We wouldn't necessarily be fighting, because everybody is free to just go. And there's way more than enough land for us all to have abundance. That's my philosophy anyway.
I did not know what time it was I met you. Oh, what a lovely time it was. How sublime it was. Didn't know what day it was. You held my hand warm like the month of May it was, and I say it was. Say that it was rain. It was rain. It's so hot. Feel like so hot. Feel so hot. Feels so mad and grand to see your face. Then I touch, say I'm all yours. I didn't know what year it was that I met you. What a lovely time it was. How sublime it was to say I'm wise, and I know, say I'm wise, and I know I'm wise. Said I know what time it is now. I got the time. I know what time it is. I got the time. I got the time. I know what time it is. I got the time. I got the time. I got the time. I know the time. I know the time. I got the time. I got the time. Said I know what time it is now. Oh, I know what time it is. I know what time it is. I know what time. I know what time it is now.
Leading your own band and selecting and writing charts, that role's got to be, and also you're a mother too. You got a lot of shoes going on right now. How are you handling all of this? Because having a band going all over the world, that's a lot of work.
It is. And folks don't see that and know that. They just think, oh, this is a singer, this is great. It's complicated. Being a mother is great though, because I'm learning how to be patient. I'm learning that everything that I do is being watched and mimicked. And it inspires me to be a better person. My children do. And a mother does so much. The role of a mother is very, very similar to the role of somebody like Betty Carter, a jazz musician. You look after your musicians, you feed your musicians, you nurture your musicians, you teach them how to play your music. You make sure they got what they need when they go on the road. You make sure that the music is set up right so that they can do what you need them to do for you. It's almost the same as taking care of a child. So once my children came, it was easy. It was easier than it would have been if I had not had this experience as being a band leader. The interconnectedness there, is what really is strong and brings everything together. Calling them, checking on them, making sure they gotten rest, making sure they get paid on time. It's the same thing. Making sure that my children are educated, they have what they need. If they're homeschooled, the certain curriculum. If they go to school, the certain everything. It's feeding them, nurturing them, clothing them, being respectful to them, teaching them how to play music with other people, teaching them how to speak to other people. You know what I mean? It's essentially the same thing. And it became second. By the time I had my second child, my organization skills in my music became a lot better, because you don't, as a musician, you get to go home and go to sleep. As a mother, you don't. You go to the bathroom, they go into the restroom with you. You go take a bath, they go into the bath with you. You get a glass of water, they want some of your water. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you don't get a break. There is no break in motherhood or fatherhood. You're always a parent. So being a musician, a band leader, helped me be a better mom. Being a mom helped me be a better musician. So I'm grateful, Without my children, maybe some stuff will fall apart. I don't know. But I'm very grateful.
You open your album with the Betty Carter standard, and Betty is one of your heroes.
She rose.
She rose. And check this out. One of the things I love about you that's so missing in jazz, and she did it well, she could swing her behind off. You bring in a whole swing and swag to jazz, and you bringing it back. What was it about Betty and her music and her octave and her range that you were just like, I gotta do this?
This could go on for 10 nights. But I'm gonna make it quick. Betty taught me just be. Fuck it. Don't worry about nothing else but what you got to say. And what you got to say is important, because it's what you have to say. If everybody was supposed to sound the same and be cute all the same, if everybody looked and sounded like Jazzmeia Horn, the world would be boring and nobody would really go out and hear music. You know what I'm saying? We all are supposed to be unique and be different. Betty taught me that you don't have to be like anybody else. You can be yourself, regardless of what the situation is, regardless of the circumstances. And she just taught me how to be free. And she just brought this, the first vocalist that I heard that I really liked was Sarah Vaughan. And I liked her because of the timbre of her voice and the way she played. I say played because the voice is an instrument. The way she played and the way her phrasing and just everything was just like butter and oil. But when I heard Betty Carter, everything was like a fast moving train. It was like, get the hell out the way or you gonna get ran over, and that's not gonna be my fault. Get on the bandwagon while it's moving or get on out the way. And that's where I grew up. My family always taught me you gotta stand for something. You know, the way she sing is the way I grew up. So it was very familiar for me because it was like, I got excited when I heard Betty Carter. The way she scats and the way she writes her songs and the way she demands her control. It's about that thing that I was talking about when I first got on the scene, and people weren't respecting me as a woman. Were not respecting me, especially because I'm a woman and I have an opinion. I have a mouth. I'm not going to talk about something that I don't know. If I know, I'm going to talk about it. And if you're in my band and you playing something that I don't like, I'm going to tell you exactly how to fix it. And I'm not going to belittle you or bring you down or anything like that. But it's not about me or you. It's about the music. And that's what Betty taught me. Just like, make sure that it's always about the music. But also, don't be afraid to be you. Do what you want to do. It's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Who were some of the gospel vocalists that you were listening to and you still dig?
Karen Clark Sheard, the Clark sisters.
Detroit.
Come on now.
Detroit.
Who else was I listening to? Donny Hathaway. That's not really gospel, but soul. The soul.
But
he was raised in the church, so yeah. Layla. Gospel. John P. Key, Kurt Franklin, Shirley Caesar, Yolanda Adams, Daryl Cooley, Mississippi Mass Choir. Oh man, can't think of them right now because jazz is in my head. But those, yeah.
Because it's all in the same mix. It's all connected. That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. Reporting live here at the Jazz Standard here in New York City. I'd like to personally congratulate the talented Jazzmeia Horn on her Grammy nomination as well as her continued success. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at the Jazz Standard for their warm hospitality. Also, Gail Boyd and Gail Boyd Management for arranging my time with Jazzmeia. Make sure you go out and support Jazzmeia's CD, her debut album, A Social Call, on the Prestige record imprint, which you can order it on Amazon.com as well as her website. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.
What time it was I met you. Oh, what a lovely time it was. How sublime it was. I didn't know what day it was. You held my hand warm like the month of May it was, and I say it was. Say that it was rain. It was rain. It's so hot. Your life so hot. Your eyes so hot. Be your long man to grin to see your face. Then I touch. Say I'm all yours.